Bihari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopa Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopa Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Śrimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Śrimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Srila Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar. Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadip Dham Mayapur Dham Ki Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming and being present for the Śrimad Bhāgavatam class this morning. I'm not sure whose decision it was to have me give class, but you're going to have to reap the results of your decision. So please tolerate me. I'm very neophyte, and I have no realizations, but somehow, some way, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and the devotees present, I can speak something of proper inspiration for us. So we're going to be reading from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam 4th canto today, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter 6, which is entitled, I believe, Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva, and we're reading from text 39. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Shinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Vedantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Okay. Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhim Ashritam Vipashritam Girisham Yogakaksham Salokapala Munayo Manunam Adhyam Manum Panjalaya Pranemu Brahmanirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yogakaksham Salokapala Munayo Manunam Adhyam Manum Pranjalaya Pranemuhu Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yogakaksham Salokapala Munayo Manunam Adhyam Manu Pranjalaya Pranemuhu Tam Brahma Nirvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yogakaksham Salokapala munayo manunam adyam manum pranjaya jalaya pranemuhu. Brahmanirvana samadhi mashritam. Crickets. Come. Him. Lord Shiva. Brahmanirvana. In Brahmananda. Samadhim. In trance. Ashritam. Absorbed. Upashritam. Leaning on. Girisham. Lord Shiva. Yogakaksham. Having his left knee firmly fixed with a knotted cloth. Salokapala. Along with the demigods. Headed by Indra. Munaya. The sages. Manunam. Of all thinkers. Adhyam. The chief. Manum. Thinker. Pranjalaya. With folded palms. Pranemu. Offered respectful obeisances. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the sages and demigods, headed by Indra, offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. Repeat after me. All sages and the demigods, headed by Indra, offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Brahmananda is significant. This Brahmananda, or Brahma Nirvana, is explained by Prahlad Maharaj. When one is completely absorbed in the Adhokshaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the sense perception of materialistic persons, one is situated in Brahmananda. It is impossible to conceive of the existence, name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is transcendently situated beyond the conception of materialistic persons. Because materialists cannot imagine or conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they may think that God is dead. But factually, he is always existing in his Satchidananda Vigraha, his eternal form. Constant meditation, concentrated on the form of the Lord, is called samadhi, ecstasy, or trance. Samadhi means particularly concentrated attention. So one who has achieved the qualification of always meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood to be always in trance, is to be understood to be always in trance and enjoying Brahmanirvana or Brahmananda. Lord Shiva exhibited those symptoms, and therefore it is stated that he was absorbed in Brahmananda. Another significant word is Yoga Kaksham. Yoga Kaksha is the sitting posture in which the left thigh is fixed under one's tightly knotted saffron-colored garment. Also, the words manunam adyam are significant here because they mean a philosopher or one who is thoughtful and can think very nicely. Such a man is called Manu. Lord Shiva is described in this verse as the chief of all thinkers. Lord Shiva, of course, does not engage in useless mental speculation. But as stated in the previous verse, he is always thoughtful regarding how to deliver the demons from their fallen condition of life. It is said that during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, Sadashiva appeared as Advaita Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Since people were engaged in useless occupations, which would continue their material existence, Lord Shiva, in the form of Lord Advaita, appealed to the Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Chaitanya to deliver these illusioned souls. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Lord Advaita. Similarly, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya, the Rudra sampradaya. He is always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls as exhibited by Lord Advaita Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivashakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru Tasyaite Katita Hirta Prakashante Mahatmanaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So once again, seeking the blessings of senior devotees present and all the devotees present, so that I can speak something that will inspire us to connect deeper with Srila Prabhupada and his mission and what he is trying to bring us. I was thinking about this purport in the first paragraph, and I always really appreciated this word adhokshaja. When I first found out this word, I thought it was such a cool Sanskrit term. Adhokshaja, or one who's inconceivable to the material senses. He's beyond the material senses. And Prabhupada talks about the materialistic persons who they can't, it's impossible for them to conceive of anything like this, because if you're materialistically minded, that means you're only limiting your capabilities to understanding what you can experience through your senses. So, you have, like, Prabhupada so often chastising these scientists on so many different points, but what he would drive in all the time so often was that you have imperfect senses. So how is that you can trust your own senses to understand reality? It's not possible. I mean, they're even using instruments to measure UV rays or infrared rays, right? And they can't see those things, but somehow they have faith that they exist because this machine that they've created from their own imperfect senses is somehow picking up on these things. So, a lot of the times people will tell, oh, well, you believe in God. Well, that's okay. Like they give you the patronizing, that's okay. But we have real knowledge. We have science. Science is real knowledge. But the reality is science it's really not so simple like that. If you see that, when you look deeper at science, yes, Prabhu? Mike, this is okay? You can hear me? Okay. Um, Science isn't just a bunch of cold, hard facts. A lot of it's actually based on fundamental premises they call axiomatic truths, assumptions that can't be proven. For example, so much of biology nowadays is based on Darwin's theory of evolution. But what is Darwin's theory of evolution? And who has actually read that book. It's absurd in some places. So a lot of these things are also, they're based on faith. Just as spiritual life is, belief in God is, everything that we do in life is based on faith. So I was just appreciating that point. I really appreciate this term at Hokshaja because Krishna says, "Ye tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham." He's saying that to the the microphone is following the descending process. So Krishna is saying, in the mood that one approaches me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. So whatever way we're trying to approach Krishna, then he'll actually reveal himself as necessary. It doesn't require anything about our own like mental straining or any type of like physical performance. It requires something much deeper for Krishna to become inclined to reveal himself to us. So I was also thinking about Prabhupada talking about Lord Shiva being an expert thinker. Why is it that Lord Shiva is an expert thinker? Right, because he's thinking how to deliver the fallen conditioned souls, and especially he's thinking about Krishna. So because he's always thinking about Krishna, that compassion that's within his heart is manifesting in that way. So his compassion is being first directed to serving the Lord. And that direction is then guided towards these other souls that don't have a relationship with Krishna. So it's a very important point that we're not just evangelical preachers, I'm your savior. It's really actually, we're doing this preaching to please Krishna and to please Srimati Radharani and the residents of the spiritual world, and also naturally the individual personalities who don't know their relationship with Krishna. So there's a lot of ways I could have taken this class, some wonderful discussions about Advaita Charya, and we've been talking a lot also in the CC classes about the performance of Harinam Sankirtan. There's discussions of Lord Shiva's amazing characteristics, discussions of Samadhi, discussions of Brahmananda, the way that Lord Shiva is sitting. So there's a lot of points that I was thinking I could go, but I was really appreciating what Prabhupada was saying here, that constant meditation concentrated on the form of the Lord is called Samadhi, ecstasy or trance. Samadhi means particularly concentrated attention. So one who has achieved the qualification of always meditating on the personality of Godhead is to be understood to be always in trance and enjoying Brahma Nirvana or Brahmananda. So in the 8th verse of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagam gamina paramam purusham divyam yati parta nuchintayam. Krishna says, one who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. O Partha, he is sure to reach me. So Prabhupada has a wonderful purport in this verse. It's towards the end, and he talks about the mind and how it's so important to engage in remembering Krishna, right? What's the number one rule of bhakti? Always remember Krishna and never forget him, correct? So Prabhupada says, the mind is fickle, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force to think of Krishna. One example often given is that of the caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly, and so is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. Similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. Does that mean that I become Krishna? No. Of course not. It means that we attain our eternal body full of bliss and knowledge in the spiritual world. So it's very important to remember Krishna's nama, his guna, his rupa, and his lila. Prabhupada is saying it's impossible for materialists to do this. But for us, we're actually supposed to be doing these things. Then you go to the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying what? He's saying just always remember me, always think of me. And he says, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me, always, without a doubt. So, if we can't do that, then Krishna says, okay, no problem. Arjuna, if you can't fix your mind upon me all the time, then just follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yogi, and this way, develop a desire to attain me. So this is what we're doing now. Prabhupada has given us this process of following the principles of Bhakti Yoga, following the four regulative principles, the practice of Pancharatrika Vidhi, and also Bhagavat Vidhi, going out and distributing books, worshipping the deity, these combined forms of services to come to the point of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting him. A beautiful characteristic about the residents of Vrindavan is that they don't forget Krishna. They're totally obsessed with Krishna. There's nothing else that takes residence in their mind besides Krishna and how I can be of service to the Lord. How can I please the Lord? So I was thinking, there's so many things we can do to remember Lord Krishna. And the Śrimad Bhāgavatam in the third canto, Lord Kapiladev discusses how we take darshan of Krishna. And so Lord Kapiladev talks about first starting with the feet of Lord Krishna. So I thought the rest of the class today, I would talk about Krishna's lotus feet. And that Lord Shiva is also perfect because he's constantly meditating on Lord Krishna's lotus feet. So that means the pure devotees, what's natural for them, what's natural for the pure devotees, it flows like, sometimes it's said, like a non-ending stream of oil, right? When it's flowing steady like that, the sadhakas, that is our aspiration. So what is natural for the pure devotees is the sadhaka's aspiration. We should always keep this in mind, that we want to become pure devotees. It's our essence, it's our nature to have pure love for Krishna by the mercy of Prabhupada, given to us by Prabhupada. And Prabhupada wants us to become pure devotees. So I did some research on Vedabase, and I found the amount of times Srila Prabhupada said lotus feet in Vedabase. Can anyone guess how many times he used it? Higher. 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 10,271 times. Now, of course, this can also be referring to devotees also, not just directly Lord Krishna. But Krishna is also non-different from his associates. So we can use that as an excuse that Prabhupada talks about the lotus feet of Krishna or his devotees 10,271 times in his lectures and writings and readings in his letters. Incredible how important this is. So this is a purport from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam in the 11th chapter. And Srila Prabhupada's talking about how the pure devotees are attached to Krishna's lotus feet. So I'm going to read this. The pure devotees are always hankering after the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord has a kind of honey which is transcendently relished by the devotees, just like we relished Lord Nityananda's Charanamrit yesterday. They are like the bees who are always after the honey. Srila Rupa Goswami, the great devotee acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, has sung a song about this, lotus honey, comparing himself to the bee. O my Lord Krishna, I beg to offer my prayers unto you. My mind is like the bee, and it is after some honey. Kindly, therefore, give my bee mind a place at your lotus feet, which are the resources for all transcendental honey. I know that even big demigods like Brahma do not see the rays of the nails of your lotus feet, even though they are engaged in deep meditation for years together. Still, O infallible one, my ambition is such, for you are very merciful to your surrendered devotees. O Madhava, I know also that I have no genuine devotion for the service of your lotus feet. But because your lordship is inconceivably powerful, you can do what is impossible to be done. Your lotus feet can deride even the nectar of the heavenly kingdom, and therefore I am very much attracted by them. O Supreme Eternal, please, therefore, let my mind be fixed at your lotus feet, so that eternally I may be able to relish the taste of your transcendental service. End quote. Prabhupada says, the devotees are satisfied with being placed at the lotus feet of the Lord and have no ambition to see his all-beautiful face or aspire for the protection of the strong arms of the Lord. They are humble by nature, and the Lord is always leaning towards such humble devotees. So I thought I'd read a couple verses from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam about the glories of Lord Krishna's feet, Krishna's lotus feet. And it's very important that we utilize this to concentrate in our minds wherever we are, whatever we're doing. Whether we're chanting japa, we're doing service, we're worshiping the deity, we're performing Harinam Sankirtan, we're preaching, all of these things, we should never be forgetting Krishna's lotus feet. This is our process. So of course, we're not there yet, but it doesn't mean we don't actually make an endeavor to do so. Otherwise, we're cheating ourselves. Krishna consciousness is simple, as Prabhupada said, but it's not easy. You have to strain your mind very, very hard sometimes to remember Krishna. I can speak through firsthand experience that it's very difficult sometimes to remember Krishna. So there's a beautiful verse in the second canto, or the second chapter of the 10th canto, where the demigods are offering prayers. And one of them is Twayam Bujakak Shakila Satwadhamni Samadhina Veshita Cheta Saike Tvatpada Potena Mahat Kritena Kurvanti Govatsa Padam Bhavabdim. O lotus-eyed Lord, by concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which are the reservoir of all existence, and by accepting those lotus feet as the boat by which to cross the ocean of nescience, one follows in the footsteps of Mahajanas, great saints, sages, and devotees. By this simple process, one can cross the ocean of nescience as easily as one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. So, I'm going to put this up now. I have a picture of Krishna's lotus feet. Now, there's different ways we can meditate on Krishna's lotus feet. We have Sri Radha Govinda here, and we have Govinda's beautiful, wonderful lotus feet that are on the altar. But I also found another wonderful way to meditate on Krishna's lotus feet, which is to look at the bottom of Krishna's feet. And there's wonderful symbols on the lotus feet of Krishna, which I'm going to discuss very soon. And we're going to get some nice information about what these symbols represent. That's what I'm putting them. I'm trying to get them on right now. And turn the TV on. Okay, let's see. While we're waiting, I'll read another verse. Those lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, and all the other demigods, by the goddess of fortune. Upon those lotus feet, the Lord walks about the forest, herding the cows with his companions, and those feet are smeared with the kumkum from the gopis' breasts. Okay, it looks like I'm connected. Can you see it? Jai. Krishna's lotus feet, ki jai. Okay. So I have another verse from the Bhāgavatam in the 82nd chapter, and this is the gopis praying to Lord Krishna. The gopis spoke thus, "My dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only feet worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons." These are wonderful prayers to meditate on for Lord Krishna to bestow upon us the darshan of his lotus feet within our hearts. Okay. Does anyone know how many signs Krishna has on his feet? 19. So we have his right foot, which is actually on our left, because we're looking at the bottom, and then we have his left foot, which is on our right. So we'll start with his right foot. There's 11 symbols on his right foot. So we're going to talk about each of these symbols and then what they represent and how we can actually think about these things in our daily spiritual life. Okay, so what's this first top little thing below his big toe? You see that? Barley corn, right? So there's a barley corn. This is in Sanskrit called Jan. This is said to signify that his devotees receive all enjoyable opulences of prosperity by serving his lotus feet. It also means that once one finds shelter at his lotus feet, then the devotee's former journey through many, many births and deaths is actually very small, just like a single grain of barley. It further demonstrates that as the barley grains are sustenance of life for the living beings, similarly, it is widely celebrated that his glorious feet are the nourishment of all souls. Wonderful, beautiful things to meditate on. This was a wonderful devotee compiled these because there's in the Matsya Purana, the Skanda Purana, and the Garga Samhita, they all discuss different aspects of the symbols of Krishna's lotus feet. This wonderful devotee has compiled things together so that we can properly appreciate them. Okay, so then we go down below the barley corn. You see that? That big circle? What is that? It's a chakra. This is a disc or a chakra. And so this is actually said to be cutting down the 6 enemies of devotees. Does anyone know the 6 enemies of devotees? Lust, greed, pride. Well, okay. Yeah. An illusion. So this also indicates, it's said that it indicates what's called Teja Tattva, or the principle of brilliance by which the darkness of sin within is destroyed. It reminded me of the Chatur Sloki Tesham Evanukam Partam. What is it? Ahamagana Jamtama. Nashaya, what is it? Nashayam Yatma Pavasto Gyanadipena Bhashvata. Krishna residing within the heart destroys the ignorance of within the heart with the lamp of knowledge. Gyanadipena Bhashvata. Really, really amazing. So then there's this upward curving line, which I was always confused when I was seeing these pictures. I never knew what this upward curving line was meaning. It says that this mark signifies that the devotee who clings to his feet as if holding a lifeline will be transported to the higher realms. Indeed, they will not fall down. It shows that such devotees need never be doubtful of their upward passage. They cannot be held captive within the small, egg-like material universe. It also indicates that the path to his feet, being free of external designations, is very direct. It also reveals that his feet can reach down to the lowest of fallen souls and deliver those who have taken shelter of him. It's like a rope. And I think the amazing thing is that who is the one that gives us that rope? It's not Krishna himself. Guru. Sri Guru and gives us this rope that we can hold on to. So how amazing is it that our Srila Prabhupada has given us this incredible rope that takes us not even to just the upper realms, but the topmost realm. In Jagaloka Vrindavan, Prabhupada says, I have the back door to the spiritual world. So we have a very special rope that's been given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So we should hold on very tightly to this rope, knowing that it's connecting us to Krishna's lotus feet. So then we have a lotus flower. You see it? Can everyone see the lotus flower? Okay. So this actually increases the greed for nectar in the mind of the bee-like devotees who meditate on his feet. The lotus also signifies that just as a lotus grows out of water, similarly, those whose eyes swell with tears upon holding the Lord's lotus feet to their heart receive the highest benefit. It also reveals that just as a lotus blooms by day and contracts at night, similarly, those who remain steeped in meditation on his feet always feel the blossoming unfolding of brilliant ecstasies that dispel the darkness of ignorance. This mark signifies that his feet are so soft that they can only be compared to lotus petals. Indeed, upon first glancing of his lotus feet, you will think that you are directly seeing fresh lotus blossoms. I was always thinking that I think it's the gopis, they're worried about Krishna walking barefoot in Vrindavan. They're saying there's rocks everywhere and there's stones everywhere, and even the cows are worrying, how can you walk around like this? We can't, your feet are so delicate. How can you walk like that? And so then all the cows, actually, they trample everything. They trample all the rocks and the stones. And that's why when you go to Govardhan, for example, it's like velvet, right? When you're walking in the sand of Govardhan, especially in those really nice places, it's like velvet, very soft. This mark also indicates that just as bees live inside lotus flowers, similarly, the minds of the gopis always reside in the nectar of his lotus feet. This was also really nice. It also shows that this lotus, or the consciousness of his lotus feet, will not grow unless there is the profusion of the water of pure divine love. It also means that the bee of the devotee's mind cannot fly beyond the bondage of dry jnana and vairagya without the temptation offered by the superior nectar of his lotus feet. So then we have a goad called an elephant goad. Can anyone tell me where it is? It's on the left, on the far left, in the top left corner of his foot. So it's said that this actually represents that those devotees who meditate on Krishna's lotus feet, the elephants of their minds become under control and they come on the right path. So then we have the flag. You can see the flag. All these are so, I really like, is this okay? I really like doing this. I'm really enjoying this. This mark announces that for the devotees meditating on his feet, he gives security and safe protection from all sorts of fear. Can anyone guess where the thunderbolt is? The left one, yeah. So it's below the elephant goad. So this is also called in Sanskrit Vajra. Some have said, I've heard also from devotees that it's like a thunderbolt weapon also. We'll see prove that's right. This mark reveals that meditation on his feet smashes to pieces the mountain of his devotees' karmic reactions to past sin. It also indicates that whoever holds onto his feet becomes exalted as Lord Indra. Even more. This mark also shows that the glories of Krishna's dynasties were established by his own grandson, Vajranab. So Vajra is like lightning. I thought that was interesting. I've heard so many things about Vajranab, but I haven't really heard many writings about him. But he's established so many temples. Like Prabhupada says so often in his purports, this temple was established by Vajranab 5,000 years ago. So really amazing. So then we have an umbrella. That's a pretty easy one, right? It's the umbrella. So this is also called chhatri. This mark proves that those who take shelter of his feet are shielded from the incessant rainfall of material miseries. Can anyone think when Krishna did that? Yes, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill and he provided shelter for all the devotees, all the Vrajvasis from the rainfall. So similarly for us, Krishna's lotus feet are like the umbrella that are guiding us and keeping us sheltered from the threefold miseries of material existence that's continuously pouring down on us. It also denotes that those who sit in the shade of his feet become exalted, just like great kings or maharajas who usually have umbrellas held over their heads. So then we have the octagon, or the antakona. You see that on the bottom, in his heel? This mark signifies that those who resort to his feet are well protected in the 8 directions. It also shows that nothing within the kingdom of the 8 directions is unattainable for the devotees. Furthermore, his devotees automatically and easily achieve the use of the 8 mystic perfections in the course of performing service to his lotus feet. I was thinking of the verse in the Gita 8.28, Krishna saying, Videshu yageshu tapashu chaiva, daneshu yat punya palam pradishtam, atyeti tat sarvam vidam viditva, yogi padam sthanam upaiti chadyam. Krishna says that a person who accepts the path of devotional service to his lotus feet is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So then, you might be seeing this octagon and wondering, what is around this octagon? It's very, very nice geometrical looking imagery. And this, of course, is a swastika. So there's 4 swastikas that are kind of in like the north, south, east, and west directions of this octagon. And it's said that this swastika signifies that for those who resort to Krishna's feet, everything is okay, everything is pure, there's nothing that's inauspicious. Nothing could possibly remain for one who holds on to Krishna's lotus feet in his heart. And then when you have the northwest, the northeast, the southwest, and the southeast, you have the rose apple, or the jambu pala. So this mark is indicative that his feet are the only worshipable objects for all those who are residents of this region of Jambudweep. Very interesting. Jambupala, I think, I've heard things about it, but I don't think it exists in our earthly dimension. Maybe I'm wrong, but a cool thing to meditate on. So that's just 1 foot of Krishna. And there's so much that you can discuss just on 1 foot of Krishna. I mean, I'm just reading something. Someone who's much more qualified than I am could sit and speak for hours on just the glory of Krishna's lotus feet. So we have about 10 minutes left. And so I'm wondering, do you want me to finish the other foot? Okay. Okay, do the next foot. Okay. So now we're on Krishna's left foot, which is on our right side. Okay? So this top one here on the top left corner, what does that look like? It's a conch shell or a shankha. So this indicates that those who take shelter of his lotus feet are always rescued from all sorts of distress. And it's said actually that this is because just like during the Arti ceremony, just like when we're offering Radha Govinda a ghee lamp, after they offer arghya with water in a conch shell, and it's said that these lotus feet hold this transcendental water that soothes his devotees from the blazing fire of material miseries. In addition, this symbol also proclaims ultimate victory for the devotees, since the conch shell mark on the feet contains the entire ocean of material existence that may now be easily crossed. So amazing. This mark is also symbolic of the principle of water, since from Krishna's foot has manifested the river Ganga, the purifier of all worlds. This mark also shows that those who resort to his feet become completely fearless. So then we have this circle to the right of the conch shell. Can anyone guess what that is? It's a representation of ether or sky. And so this mark of two circles, one within the other, indicates that Lord Krishna's lotus feet are all pervading throughout the entire universe, both within and without all manifestations. It also shows that even though his feet are everywhere, they are unattached, just like the sky. Amazing. Reminds me of the verse Krishna saying that everything, by me, I'm in my unmanifested form, I'm pervading this entire creation. And all beings are within me, but I am not in them. So it's this amazing understanding of, or just like pearls being strung in a thread, right? Krishna's present within every part of this manifestation, which means that we are capable of seeing Krishna's lotus feet in all parts of this manifestation. And we have the examples of Srila Prabhupada and many other pure devotees, and especially how successful this movement is. We have pure devotees within this movement who are able to see Krishna's lotus feet constantly. So we can use that as an inspiration to remember that's where we want to go. So then we have something below this sky representation. Anyone, what does that look like? A mustache? It's a bow. So this bow, or the dhanuna, this mark actually reveals that those who take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet will perpetually be freed from all worries and difficulties. And it shows that those who are stupefied in the material world, stupefied, I like that word, remain motionless like a target and do not come to his feet. Whereas those who come to the ultimate goal of his feet remain there, never to go back to the material world. Furthermore, when the minds of the devotees meet the target of his feet, then prema condenses as a result and overflows as the tears showering from their eyes. So then we have something below this bow. What does that look like? Yes, it's a hoof print. It's the hoof print of a calf. So it's said that those who have taken, as we just read in a previous verse in Śrimad Bhāgavatam, that those who take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, this means that the great ocean of material worldly existence becomes very small and insignificant, like the water held in a calf's hoof print, and thus it is easily crossed over. So then we go a little further down, and we see this weird triangle-looking thing. What is this triangle? In Sanskrit, it's called trikona. So it's, huh? Right, it just means triangle. It just means three sides. Thank you. So it says that the devotees who resort to Krishna's lotus feet are saved from the three modes of nature. They're also saved from the three modes of material miseries, which are Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidaivika. Right. It's also said there's many three examples, so I'm going to limit the time. Three modes of nature. It also shows that Krishna is the original source of the three expanded manifestations of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. It also shows that Krishna is Purusha. He's the conqueror of Cupid, and he's the lord and husband of all women. Yeah, Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. It didn't say that here, but yeah, I could represent that also. It also denotes that he never goes anywhere other than Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. I thought that was cool. It also refers to his stepping over the three worlds, Swarga, Bhumi, and Patala, with just a single step. I thought that was also amazing. And this one's really cool, and it ties in with our chapter. Also, that his feet have attracted the fixed gaze of the three eyes of Shiva. So, very cool. So then we move on the outer realm of this triangle, and we see that there's 4 pots, and these pots are actually said to be full. Now, what are these pots full of? What's inside? Ghee? Are you sure? Is that your final answer? So it says that this mark shows the feet holding the golden pitcher of purely nectarian ambrosia, debris freely consumed by the surrendered souls. Indeed, they will never be bereft of nectar, for this pitcher always remains full. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, right? This mark indicates that his feet can pour out nectar that extinguishes the burning fire of separation, felt by the gopis, as well as the blazing threefold miseries of his separated devotees. It also refers to his feet as the source of the Ganga river, which is supremely purifying. Further, the full pitcher is a symbol to show that no inauspiciousness can come near his devotees, but rather that his feet bring ripples of happiness emanating from divine auspiciousness. So we have 2 symbols left. We're doing good so far. So this is the moon. So Ardha Chandra, it's a half moon. And this mark symbolizes how his feet truly accomplish the desired objectives of his devotees. It signifies that even gods like Shiva have decorated on their own heads with the soles of his feet. It also shows that devotees who likewise decorate their own heads with his feet can become exalted like Lord Shiva. Just as the moon showers nectar with its cooling rays, similarly, his feet shower nectar upon his devotees, extinguishing the threefold miseries. We're seeing this continuous pattern that Krishna's lotus feet are extinguishing threefold miseries. It's extinguishing our material desires. So simply by practicing to meditate on Krishna's lotus feet, we can get so much purification. Just as the moon is one, yet destroys the darkness seen by many people simultaneously. Similarly, the Lord is one, yet by his cleverness can deliver many souls at the same time. This one's amazing. The half moon also indicates that since his toenails appear as 10 splendorous full moons, the real moon has shriveled up in shame and appears in a half form. It also indicates that the half-hearted attempts of those who are improperly devoted, relishing transcendental topics with the wrong attitude, and crooked or duplicitous, cannot approach his feet. They're very, very important. We have to be coming to the desire, at least, to fully surrender to the Lord, fully surrender to the process that Prabhupada's giving us. In addition, just as the half moon is in the process of increasing, similarly, the benefit for one who is day by day expanding the glorification of his feet in a spotless manner certainly increases. Okay, so we have 1 symbol left, and I have 2 minutes. It's a fish, or matsya. So it's said that this mark shows that just as a fish cannot swim without water, similarly, the surrendered devotees cannot live without directly associating with his feet. It's an amazing, amazing thing. And for us, our attachment to the pure Vaishnavas is what brings us to those lotus feet. So when we become attached to the devotees, attached to the pure devotees of the Lord, that attachment brings us to Krishna's lotus feet. It also means that the mind is very fickle, just like a fish who wavers this way and that. And so only after much meditation do his feet finally come into the heart. It also indicates that his feet will come to live in one's heart only if the heart has been liquefied by soft, loving emotions. His feet do not thrive where it is dry. That dryness means a lack of devotion. It means a lack of surrender. It means having alternative desires. Right? Srila Rupa Goswami says, "Anyabhilashi tashunyam jnana karma dhyanavrtam." Has to be devoid of any desire for anything in return, any desire of knowledge separate from loving and serving Krishna purely. He also has this mark on his feet to indicate that he has conquered Cupid, thereby displaying Cupid's flag of surrender on the soles of his feet. Moreover, it is a reminder that during the great universal devastation and flood, he assumed the form of Matsya, the fish incarnation, and thereby saved his devotees. So it's 9 o'clock. I was really looking forward to having a discussion, but I've been instructed to promptly stop at 9 o'clock. So thank you for your time. I really appreciated doing this. I learned a lot from this, and I'm going to keep reading these things so that I can meditate more on the symbolisms of the items on Krishna's lotus feet, and also just how important it is for us to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord and to never forget them, just like Lord Shiva in this purport and verse of the Śrimad Bhāgavatam. So thank you for your kind mercy and attention. Please forgive me if I've made any offenses or anything incorrect according to our Acharya Siddhanta. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Krishna's lotus feet ki jai. Nityananda's lotus feet ki jai. I didn't even discuss about Nitai's lotus feet.